Hello YouTube. I wanted to record this video to give some thoughts on, just how Omad's been, and it's a Friday night and I haven't really been on too often, so figured I would just kind of give an update. Right now I'm actually 2 days fasted, so right now I'm about 46, 47 hours fasted, and I'm on my way to a run, and I went back to get a DEXA scan because, so what happened was yesterday, or 2 days ago I think, or was it yesterday? No, yesterday I think. Yeah, yesterday I had woken up and I was like, I'll just make myself a latte with pumpkin spice latte, essentially a homemade one that I've been wanting to indulge in from time to time. Almost like the Laird latte, but kind of just straight up indulge, I guess, just to give myself like a healthy treat. See if I can make that work for me, But then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, my ketones have been like anywhere from 0.1 to 0.3, and I was like, that could be a bad sign in a way, and it's not necessarily a bad sign at this point, but in terms of where I want to be during the week, it absolutely is a bad sign, because basically I need to be in ketosis during the week for me to get what I got to get done, because I'm sitting down at a desk like for hours and hours. And I've told you the theory before is that when you're out of ketosis, you're going to have more of a tendency to try to reach out for snacks and stuff and carbs and stuff like that, which would in theory make you gain weight and even just be detrimental to your health in general. Increase your blood sugar, potentially give you, high blood, not so much blood pressure, but anyway, I wanted to talk more about how Omad's been since I basically became more strict about it. Because when I got to 13.3% body fat, I was like, I got to really grind this through, and basically. And then I think after 5 days of doing Omad, I realized I went down to 13.0%, and I was really strict about it, right? So what's interesting is that, so basically I decided to get another DEXA scan today because I was scared of seeing a weight gain. I said, what in the hell? I think it was, like I said, 2 days ago in the morning, I woke up and I weighed myself at 157.4 pounds. I said, what in the hell gives? That was like a 4 or 5 pound increase from the day before, from eating the day before. I had a protein bowl, like I had it was kind of interesting. I didn't expect to get so much protein, but I just felt like having takeout that day, going out to a poke bowl place and just, just eating out in a convenient sense, because I had to get my stuff done. I wanted to start calling people for my rental property, for the room, which I made a mistake with, which I could probably explain a little bit later. Let's just say I told a lady that wasn't qualified off rip, because she told me she has bad credit, or she wrote in there when she applied that, and I mean, you could interpret that any way, but I accidentally called the woman because I had such an adrenaline rush just going through all the applicants and stuff, and nobody was really answering their phone and stuff like that. So, man, it's Friday night. There's like a lot of traffic. But anyway, as I was saying, but somehow she just answered the phone and it was like, "Are you still looking for a place?" "Yeah, I'm still looking." And by the tone of her voice, I was like, just by the tone of her voice, I know it sounds superficial, but I'm like, this is a no. This is a no. This is a woman that sounds like she smokes, and she's gonna she can't even get up or whatever. I was like, okay, I'm gonna send you an application, and that was a mistake. I didn't mean to say that. I just was carried away in the moment. So that I kind of regret saying that, but it's all good, because I mean, I blocked her, and you know, I mean, the worst that's gonna happen, just like eBay, you know, apartments.com is gonna reach out to me and say, hey, you know, you told this lady that you were gonna send her an application. How come you didn't do it? I just like, well, she doesn't qualify for. She didn't tell me, but it sounds like she doesn't qualify. So unfortunately, I accidentally told her that I would, and I don't think I should. I don't think it turns out I made a mistake, and I changed my mind. So I think it should. I think she expected that, half expected that, and because I could tell in the tone of her voice, like, yeah, okay, like so, as if like she was totally like underappreciated or whatever. So it was like it was nothing but trouble. This woman didn't give a fuck. So, you know, it was a bad interaction. I shouldn't have said anything like that, but it is what it is. You can't reverse time. So yeah, I mean, you know, so yeah, it's been about 2 weeks now, 2 to 3 weeks since I've been doing Omad. It doesn't feel like it, but after that 5 days where I went down to 13.0%, I basically, like I told you in the other video, I kind of cheated on the weekend by having too many meals, like just two too many meals, you know. So I didn't actually like do it right, and my ketones were showing super low, like 0.1, 0.2, 0.1, and they were probably lower than they are even now. By the way, my last ketone reading about 3 hours ago was 0.9, so now they're kind of getting back up. But I find it interesting because even though that was the case, guess what? Check out my results. I'm going to put it on here right now. Notice how 12.6% body fat. That's 0.4% body fat lower. I gained 0.9 pounds of muscle, lost 0.9 pound, you know, half a pound of fat, just by doing 2 weeks of Omad. It may seem like an insignificant, you know, something insignificant, but I believe it is significant, and that means I'm still headed in the right direction, I believe. You know, I don't know what happened with that 13.3%, but it sounds like now it's very obvious to me, like, what it means to not do too many calories. So I actually thought I gained weight when I was going to go in there. I thought I gained weight because of you know, I technically probably did about 2,100 calories on Sunday, and then I did, you know, however many, like maybe 1,900 on Saturday, you know, last Saturday. So, and my ketones were so low, so I figured, hey, I'm gaining weight, right? Well, again, it's not that cut and dry. Just because your ketones are low doesn't always mean that you're not on a cut. It also, in my opinion, doesn't mean that you don't have your insulin under control. You have to do a homo IR test, I think, to really figure out what your ketones are, and to really like nail it in, you know. So I went the wrong way. I was getting some pills. Oops. But yeah, I mean, so you get what I'm saying, right? Like, actually, I was gonna get something in. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, I mean, you know, obviously there is a correlation, a strong correlation with higher ketones and then lower insulin levels, but it's not always going to be the case. So in my opinion, especially when you're feeling the cut, you know your insulin levels are probably low. That's causing you to have weight loss. And so I would still say for the majority of the time, you need to feel like you're on a cut. Like, there's no doubt about that. But at the same time, there are times where, like right now, I don't feel like I'm on a cut, but I think it's because ketones kind of make you feel good while you're on a cut. I think that's what happens. And so if you're on a cut, but you kind of feel good, you're probably producing a lot of ketones, right? But if you're on a cut, you don't feel so good, you're probably not. I I know that's a generalization, but like you know what I mean. So I think there's more like nuance with what I'm thinking now about all this weight loss stuff, and it sounds like I'm going to stick with that as a general rule of thumb in terms of like, you know, whether I really am on a cut or not, you know, and you know, meaning losing fat or whatever. And because sometimes it's hard to, like, classically in the past I've always thought, oh, like, just check your ketones, blah blah blah, but now I think I have a better, more refined idea of what it means to be on a cut. So yeah, for those of you who are interested in losing fat, I think there's different modes, and I think you might be able to benefit from that feeling when you're on a cut, like that feeling that you're hungry or you're weak. Then you know you're on a cut, like, you know for sure. But I think there's like this other thing is, if you feel like you're not on a cut, like you're, oh well, you know, you're otherwise, like if you feel like you're not hungry and you know you can keep going with maybe a fast or not having eaten for a while or whatever, and then you get a reading of like 0.9, 0.7, 0.5 on the ketone reader, or especially in the 1.5 or 3 range, then most likely you're probably on a cut. That's how I look at it. And if you don't feel good, but your ketones are high, like you feel nutritionally deficient, or like you're dizzy or whatever, then that probably means you're still on a cut, but how do I put this? But you have nothing else that you got to lose. Like you've completely digested all the food that you've had, especially the protein. So what I'm saying is that, like, all the food, even if you have food in your system or whatever, or even protein or whatever, you could still be on a cut, you know. In whether you're, I think I look at this more multidimensionally, you know. You can either feel like shit on a cut or feel good on a cut while having food in your system, right? But and then what I'm also saying is that you can also feel the same way. You can also feel just basically like shit when you don't have any more food in your system. But you could actually also feel good too. I think, unfortunately, that the modality in which you feel good, you're on a super long fast, let's say 7 days in, right? You feel good, you're 7 days in. We know you're on a cut, but if you feel good, what I think it means is that your muscles are being atrophied away. They're being eaten at. So in a way, I feel like this is, for those of you who are interested in a long fast, you kind of want to be feeling like shit. Because let's say if you're 5 days in, that means that, you know, I think it has something to do with protein synthesis and stuff like that, and your muscles basically made of all that protein and stuff like that, right? So it's going to break it down in order for it to survive, and then you're going to end up feeling better, you know. So it's kind of interesting, because I didn't think of it that way, but I think it's true, you know. Like, so like right now I don't feel that way, because I mean, obviously all the food I've had is still in my system, whatever protein I had from before, but I better now recently, what's his name, Thomas DeLauer has theorized that that pretty much once 36 hours goes away of a fast, then you're screwed, you know. Then you're like, you have nothing else to draw from, and then you might lose muscle. But I think that there's some wiggle room in that. For example, for me right now, I think I've been able to extend it to where I've been able to extend it to where I could go about 48 hours now, having, especially if I had a lot to eat, and still feel like, still be on a cut and feel good, and still be on a cut without losing muscle. So it's kind of interesting, because you could have food in your system but still feel like shit on a cut. But however, I believe if your ketones are too, it would be an indicator based off of your ketones being too low. So I don't know what the relative amounts would be. This is just a theory I have, and I came up with those 4 modes. And I mean, it sounds to me like it's kind of correct, and it could be useful for you if you're on a cut and trying to say, okay, well, where am I headed? And if you feel like you gained weight, it's like, fuck, I gained weight. Kind of like with me, right? I was freaking out, but guess what? That 4 or 5 pounds, just like what happened with Mark from Mark's Epic Weight Loss, that was just water weight. Because literally, I was losing the weight, like, because I started fasting 2 days ago, right? And I was just dropping the weight. So just that much, you know? And yeah, so thanks for watching. Oh, and by the way, and so I like about maybe 10 hours later or 5 hours later, I saw that the, you know, that my, I dropped like 2 or 3 pounds. I'm like, I went from 157 to 155. And then the next day I was like, and then like sometime in the middle, like 6 hours later, it was like 154. And eventually I saw 152.0. And then that was it. That was the final thing. So I was like, I really got to go and get my DEXA scan to see. So yeah, thanks for watching.